Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. After a long hiatus, we have back with us Kalavai Venkat, and we're going to talk about a huge opportunity that awaits India. Kalavai Venkat, Namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you?
Namaskar and welcome. Thank you very much. How are you doing, Sree Iyer?
I'm doing well, Venkat, and I would, for our listeners'
Am I audible?
Yes, you're fine. You're fine.
Am I audible?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm losing you, Sree Iyer. I cannot hear you. Your voice is kind of trailing back.
Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Check.
I can hear you now.
Right. Okay,
I
great.
can hear you.
Yeah. So just before we came online, you quoted from Chanakya. I'd like you to start out by quoting from Chanakya, and then we will jump into our current issue that we're going to talk about. Over to you.
Great. So Chanakya was not only a great dharmic sage, he was the author of Arthashastra, but he was also a very pragmatic person. So he made one remark in Arthashastra that one should not fret over the past because you cannot change the past. One should not be anxious about the future because anxiety is not going to get you to the goal. Instead, one should focus on the present and be pragmatic about it because it's on the foundation of the pragmatic present that the edifice of the future can be built. Those are the words of Chanakya. So
Thank you so
I
much.
was mentioning that to you because we are going to talk about a very important subject today. We are going to talk about Trump 2.0, some of the key decisions he has taken, and how that could potentially benefit India. So this is where I think we should approach this entire scenario the way Chanakya did in the Arthashastra. That's the reason for the quote.
Thank you so much, Venkat. And viewers, this is the thing. India has agreed to take back 18,000 illegals from the United States. The first set of illegals have arrived. They've also talked a little bit about what really happened. I put out a shorts. I'd like for us to play that shorts. I will load that in just a moment. Don't worry about it. I'll bring it up. But the long and short of it is India has a challenge that everybody who America has determined to be Indians may not be quite Indian. So there is some processing that is required before India can take back these 18,000 people. And it has been very guardedly stated in some of the statements that Indian, ministry, External Affairs Ministry has mentioned. This has been happening for a few days. Be that as it may, there is a challenge. Now, Prime Minister Modi is coming on the 13th, I think, to meet with Donald Trump. And by that time, a lot of things can be actually laid out as a vision. And that's what Venkatji is going to lay out as a vision. Venkatji, you've been following what is happening, the proposal of Trump to take over the development of Gaza. And then yesterday, viewers, if you had seen Major General Rajiv Narayanan's hangout with me, that was a fantastic one because he said how the Gurion Canal is an alternative to Suez Canal, and that is going to go right along the border between Israel and Egypt. It's going to go right through Gaza. So whatever the plan that is going on, this is not something that just, it's not a PFA, pull from the air. Actually, the air is not the right word, but you get the idea. It's not a PFA of Trump. This has been in the works for a while. You should go and watch that General Rajiv Narayanan hangout. But be that as it may, a lot of reconstruction work awaits this region. And that's just, I'm just putting some broad parameters. Over to you, Venkatji. You can start wherever you want, but basically what we are trying to talk about is how to take a crisis and convert that into an opportunity. Over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sree Iyer. So let's start with Trump's plan for Gaza. Trump announced that he is going to turn Gaza into Gaza Riviera or Riviera or Gaviera. I don't know what you want to call that. So basically, let's go back and look at the problem. For the last 75 years, Gaza and the entire Palestinian community, the Muslim community, has been going through hell. But it was a hell they created for themselves. They could have lived very happily. For example, when Israel pulled out of Gaza in 2005, 2006, it was a beautifully built up city. The entire Gaza Strip was full of infrastructure that India could not have even compared with. So at that time, in 2005, 2006. So compared to Gaza, India was a third world country then. Instead of developing that and turning that into an economic hub, the Palestinian people, the Gazan people, elected the Hamas and then built tunnels and they destroyed the entire ecosystem. So if you look at the entire Gaza problem, if you look at the entire Palestinian problem, who has benefited from that over the last 75 years? Only two peoples have benefited from that. Number one, the leftists. And if you look at all the agencies like USAID, UNRWA, and all of these organizations, all of them have been taking billions and billions of dollars, looting most of that, and then benefiting from that by propping up this entire Palestinian propaganda. For example, we saw that $100 million a year were given to Hamas for buying condoms. And this is loot, simple and clear. And then the entire narrative was built to facilitate the loot of the Western tax dollar money by the leftist agencies and the leftist activists. They were the number one beneficiaries of the Palestinian crisis. The second beneficiaries of the Palestinian crisis have been the Islamists. Because this problem is not a territorial problem, this problem is an Islamic problem. Because the Quran, the Hadiths, and everything they say that the entire Arabia should be cleansed of Jews. And that's why the moment they start imagining that this part of the country, this part of the earth, what they call Gaza or West Bank is Arabia, that's an imagination. But once you start with that imagination, then it leads to a logical consequence that every Jew there should be ethnically cleansed and chased out. And hence, the Islamists have been benefiting from that because that way they can radicalize society. But look at the people of Gaza. There are about 2 million people there, give or take a few. And then they have been suffering for 5, 6 generations now. There is no decent quality of living. There is violence everywhere. Women are oppressed. Gay, lesbian people are oppressed and persecuted. There is no education. There is no quality of life. And it's a terrible place to live in. So what Trump has proposed is enough is enough. This place is a demolition site. I am going to go in and I am going to relocate all the people from Gaza to either Egypt or Jordan. And then I'm going to rebuild this entire place, turn it into the equivalent of the French Riviera in the southern France. And then, like you mentioned, you have this Ben Gurion Canal, and add up all of these things. In the next few months, this entire place, which is today a bombed out demolition site, can be turned into an economic hub where Trump can go and build hospitals, he can build schools, he can build universities, everything, and turn that into a truly golden state. And everybody is going to benefit from that. And then, even when you look at the Palestinian people who are living in Gaza, and if they are resettled in Egypt or Jordan, because they are all Egyptians or Jordanians, okay, there is no such thing called Palestine. And let's give a 20-second historical background to everyone on this. The entire place was called either Israel or Judea since ancient times. But when the Romans conquered Judea, they took a portion of that and then they named it Philistia. What is Philistia? Philistia refers to the Philistine people. For example, Palestine is even today called Philistine in Arabic. So the Philistines were an Indo-European people who came from Greece and subjugated the Jews. So when the Romans subjugated the Jews, they wanted to humiliate them, they wanted to ridicule them, so they named it after the erstwhile conquerors of Jews and they called it Philistia. So Philistia or Palestine has got nothing to do with the Arab people, it has got nothing to do with the Muslims. All of the Muslims, Arab Muslims who are living in Gaza, West Bank, etc., they came from either Jordan or from Egypt during the Ottoman rule, and they settled down there, which is okay. We could have tolerated that. Had 10/7, October 7th, not happened. So then they posed an existential threat to the Jews, and hence the two-state solution is dead. So we are now left with only two options. One, continue the failed experiments of the last 75 years, which only benefits the leftists and the Islamists, and then ruins the lives of the Palestinian Muslims, or alternatively, follow the new plan of Donald Trump and then turn that place into a beautiful Gazan Riviera and build all the economic infrastructure, resettle the Palestinians in Israel or Jordan. That belongs, then they will become citizens of those two countries. And then Trump is willing to build all infrastructure for them so they could have a decent life. I think this is the most humane and most practical solution. which should be welcomed.
Thank you so much. And I would like to now play a small clip that I had released a few hours ago about what is happening. Go ahead.
No, I don't
Predicted those people who are applying for asylum in the United States on the pretext that they are being persecuted for their beliefs in Khalistan are now being sent back. In fact, there is one case where the judge, upon hearing from the prospective applicant that he was being persecuted in Punjab, then he actually called up Simranjit Singh Man's office, who had actually given him that letter. Remember, I told you this letter is going between 35,000 to 70,000 rupees per letter. That guy, rascal, Simranjit Singh Man, was giving those letters. Well, he called up that office. The judge calls up Simranjit Singh Man's office in front of the person who's carrying that letter and asks him, are people being prosecuted in Punjab? And what Man's office said is, no, nobody is being prosecuted. We're all doing very well here. In fact, we are now contesting and we are members of parliament. So they did a complete 180-degree about turn. All these people have spent their money, they spent their life savings to come to US or to Canada thinking that there is great success or future here. They are all now seeing the reality. I had told this 24 months ago, don't do this. Please don't sell away your family silver to come to United States. You need to come in legally. Don't try to do this illegal asylum business. In fact, it's not just people from Punjab. Many other states have also cooked up these stories. So a lot of these people are now being deported back to India.
Absolutely. So before I talk about that, that's a very important point you made. I want to add one more remark about Gaza, because if they are going to reconstruct Gaza, then Donald Trump is looking at a massive workforce that's going to come and work there, and possibly boots on the ground. And for example, you would be knowing already there are a lot of Indian construction workers and civil engineers who are working in Israel, okay? Because Israel got rid of all the Gazan workers, all the Palestinian workers, and they replaced them with Hindu workers from India. So this is another opportunity for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to collaborate with President Trump, put even the Indian troops on the ground in Gaza to protect that place, remove all the Gazans, settle them in other places, and the Indian construction companies, Indian engineers and workers can now be deployed in rebuilding all of Gaza. That will be a win-win for India, for Trump, for Israel, as well as the Muslim people of Gaza. So now back to the deportation. So you started with mentioning the number 18,000. Okay, so these 18,000 is only a drop in the ocean. So who are these 18,000 people? These are the 18,000 who have been heard in the asylum court and denied asylum. All of these 18,000 people claimed that they are being persecuted in India by the Hindus, and hence they wanted asylum in the US, and the judges have said, no, you are not being persecuted there, so go back to your country. So we should not sympathize with these people at all, even though what they did was stupid. But then look at the bigger picture. This 18,000 is a drop in the ocean, because by various estimates, there are roughly 10 lakh Indians who have illegally entered the United States of America. And Trump and Tom Homan have made it absolutely clear that every one of them will be deported, and they will be deported, and the tab will be picked up by the host countries. Meaning, if they are Mexican nationals, then Mexico will pay for that. If they are Panamanians, if they are Colombians, then those countries will pay for it. And if it is Indians, India will pay for it. And then the cost of transportation is phenomenal. I did a back of the envelope calculation, Sree Iyer, and to deport 10 lakh Indians, it's going to cost $4.5 billion if the US were to do that work. So I think here is where Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he meets with Trump, could put forth the following proposal. Number one, like you correctly said, many of these people may not even be Indians. They illegally came from Bangladesh, and then they would have acquired fake passport from India, and then they would have gone out. Or many of them would have not even carried a passport. What they would have done is they would have sneaked out of India, gone to Nepal or gone to other places, and then traveled illegally on fake documentation, could be Bangladeshi passport for all we know. And then they would have landed in in the US illegally and then burnt their original passport and claim that they are Indians. So what Modi could do is, number one, here is step number one. We have the database of all the embarkation and disembarkation records out of India, because nobody can leave India without going through immigration check, and nobody can enter India legally without immigration check. So that embarkation, disembarkation data is available in all the databases. So number one thing Modi could do is to pull out that record and say, look, here are the Indians who left India, who should have returned because they went there on tourist visa or education visa, whatever, but they have not returned. So these are potentially illegals residing in the US. That will be very helpful to President Trump to identify and then round up all of those characters. Then number two, what Modi could do is depute a team of Ministry of External Affairs diplomats, base them in the US, so that as soon as the Americans round up any of these illegals, our Indian officials can confirm that, yes, these are indeed Indians and we'll take them back. Or, no, these are not Indians, these are Bangladeshis, these are Rohingyas, and you deal with them, send them to those countries. Okay, that's the second thing they could do. And what is in it for India? For India, this way, we can prevent more illegal Bangladeshis and others being dumped on India. And then what is there for America? For America, they are able to easily track every one of the illegals who are of Indian ethnicity or origin. And third, it builds a tremendous amount of goodwill between India and America, because both countries are beset with the illegal immigrant problems, and Trump is going to appreciate that. This is step number two. Step number three, why should America organize all the transportation and then send the bill to India? That will be forbiddingly expensive. And I gave you the back of the envelope calculation. That's $4.5 billion to deport these 10 lakh illegals. So that's the amount with which India bought those drones from America, those MQ-9 Reaper. 31 of those India bought for roughly $4 billion. No, you could now go ahead and buy another $35 billion, 35 MQ-9 Reaper drones that will further reinforce Indian security and defense. That's what India should be doing, and not waste this money. So what can India do? India can organize cruise ships. India can organize flights, and it can do all of this deportation and bring those illegals back to India at a fraction of the cost, probably 1/10 of the cost, maybe $400 million. India can easily do that, or even $200 million. Bring them back. Huge cost savings for India. Then another huge benefit, that's number four. That's what will come out of that. When Prime Minister Modi meets Trump, he can say, what I calculated was there are going to be roughly 3,000 flights. We need to bring all of them. But if you're going to use cruise ships, then we need fewer flights. Okay? In other words, if we are going to operate about 30 to 40 flights in a day, in about 100 days, India can bring all of these 10 lakh people, assuming they are all Indians, back to India. And this will be a huge win for Trump, because now Trump can say, if Modi can partner with me and take all the 10 lakh immigrants back, then every other country should do that. Otherwise, we'll impose economic sanctions. So in other words, in a few months or less than a year, all the 27 million illegals, that's 2.7 crore illegals from different countries who are residing in the US would have all been deported, and Trump would have scored a massive, massive win. And in return, India would be looked upon very favorably by Trump, and who knows, India may even get most favored nation status. And that's what we should look at, because that's the path to future growth of India, strengthening of India, and most importantly, for India to counter Chinese aggression in partnership with the United States of America. And on top of that, there will be a lot of resentment among the people, these 10 lakh people. They committed a crime. Okay, they were greedy. They could have lived like kings in Punjab or in other parts of India, but they all paid up to $125,000 per head to the cartels to get to the United States of America. That's illegal. That's a crime. But it's also something unscrupulous and immoral, because this is the money with which they could have protected their family, cared for the family in India, because $125,000 is a little over 1.1 crore rupees. They could have all bought a home. They could have lived a comfortable life for the rest of their lives. The entire family could have thrived, but they were greedy. They wanted to come to the US, where they are leading a pathetic life as illegals because they work in grocery stores or they do physical labor, manual labor in farms. They are being exploited by the gurdwaras. They are being exploited by the likes of Pannu. They are exploited by the likes of 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗿. You mentioned the example of Simranjit Singh Mann. All of these fellows are making ton of money. This when they hand over this 1.1 crore rupees to a cartel in Ludhiana or other places, a portion of that goes to politicians like Simranjit Singh Mann, 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗿, 𝗏 Aadmi Party, Congress, everybody. Then a portion of that goes to the gurdwaras. Then a portion of that goes to the cartels. These are all money which are laundered, and then these cartels are associated with terrorist organizations. So this is a huge matter for both Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi, because many of these people could have potential terrorist links, and hence identifying them is super important. And that's why I think Modi and Trump should collaborate next week, come up with a comprehensive game plan so that India can take these people and anyone with money laundering or terror connection straight away put them on trial so that India and the US are both protected. Those are some of my initial thoughts.
Thank you so much, Kalavai. I just wanted to add one information. Those of you who might be outraging that, how can I, say that Simranjit Singh Mann was taking 35,000 to 70,000 rupees? It's on record.
He said that himself. He gave that in an interview, and
he said that.
Yes, yes, and he proudly said that is a video interview. And if you go to Puneet Sahani's X channel, you can see that video.
Yes.
And he proudly informs, "Oh, मैंने तो सिर्फ 35,000 लिया, 50,000 लिया. I took 50,000, 35,000." But by the way, he's downplaying the amount he took. Okay, because I have a friend, an IPS officer. I have another friend who is an IAS officer, both of them in the Punjab cadre, and they both told me roughly 10% of the money, that 10% of 1.1 crores that these guys are paying, goes to these politicians like Simranjit Singh Mann, who in turn give these fake letters of persecution. Okay, so then another portion goes to the landlords, the gurdwaras, and other things. A lot of story, but then it's a huge amount of money these people have made, and we have to investigate what portion of that went into funding terrorism, what portion of that went into the pockets of the drug cartels. There is a crying need for a crackdown, and this is where I think a partnership between Modi and Trump will help, because all along we saw Sree Iyer, whether it is the farmers' protest, whether it is the attempted assassination on Prime Minister Modi in Punjab, all of those are masterminded by the Canadians in the background, by agencies like USAID in the background. So now those things have been, sorry, just one sentence and I'll come back to you. So those have been all tamed right now. So what we can do is now to investigate this and then make sure that all of these guys' links are totally investigated, and we unearth everything and we throw them behind the bar. That's what we need to focus on. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Venkat. I just wanted to finish up this conversation about Simranjit Singh Mann. Man or Man, I don't know exactly what the right way to say it. The point I'm trying to make is this fellow got elected from this constituency called Sangrur. If my memory serves me correctly, now it is 𝗪𝗏𝗡𝗙. He is the one who's the MP from there, if I remember correctly. Okay, so brothers and sisters of Sangrur, you have been grossly misfed information. Look, don't sell your property and don't mortgage your future. This gravy train has stopped. There are other ways in which things are going to be worked out. Be patient. You are hardworking people. Stay off of drugs. And Sangrur, if I remember correctly, again is a border district too. So please, ठंडे दिमाग से सोचो. जोश नहीं यहाँ पर, होश चाहिए. Back to you. Let's get back to the bigger problem.
आपने बहुत सही कहा. On that, I feel really sorry for the Sikh people of Punjab, because those are among the people I admire the most. Sree Iyer, when you look at the partition of 1947, at the time there was a massive massacre, rape, plunder. The Sikhs and Hindus left Pakistan and came to India as refugees with nothing. Okay, they had lost family members, they had no material possession, but within 5 years, 10 years, they rebuilt their lives. They are a very innovative, very inspirational, and very hardworking people. Unfortunately, over the last 3 or 4 decades, thanks to Khalistani propaganda, their lives have been destroyed and they should come back. And one more point to add, right? And why Modi and Trump should partner on this. If Modi can demonstrate that in less than 100 days, I can take back all the 10 lakh illegals, Indians who are illegally in the US, then in a few months, every illegal from the US will be sent back. And Trump would be more than happy to reciprocate Modi's gesture. And what can Modi demand in return? India has got crores and crores. Nobody knows the actual numbers, but by some estimates, there are 15 to 20 crores Muslims who have come from Bangladesh or Burma, the Rohingya Muslims, who are living illegally in India and who are behind many of the riots and who are skewing the elections by voting illegally. And if India were to kick these people out, Bangladesh won't accept them, okay? Because India is not powerful enough. And this is where Trump can put a chokehold on Bangladesh, on Burma, and tell them, if Modi is sending someone your way, you will take them. Otherwise, I'll cut off all the economic aid, all the financial aid to you, and everybody will fall in line. So this is a great opportunity for India. That way, all the illegal Muslims can be also sent out in the next 1 year, and India will be cleansed.
Very, very well said, very well explained. And viewers, this is not something empty. And when, Venkatji gives the numbers, look, we cannot reveal all our sources, all right? Please take our word for it, because if you have to be living in the United States to understand the plight of many students who are, they finish their master's degree, there are no job, they finish their practical training, still no job. What do they end up doing? They become illegal. And they start working in grocery stores, bagging groceries, or working on,
think of it in the earlier wave of Indians who came to the US, right? In the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they came here to study. Okay, they went to good colleges in India, like at the IITs or the BITS Pilani and all these places, and then they came here on scholarship. Okay, they got tuition waiver and they got scholarship, and then they added real value to America, and then they built this brand equity called India. And Bill Gates talks about that on one occasion. In 91 or 92, he goes to IIT Madras, and Microsoft recruits Indians for the first time. Nobody has heard of, or he went in late 80s, I think. Okay, but at the time, Americans had not heard of India as a software hub. And then they are all skeptical, and Gates says, wait a few more decades and you will all appreciate the wisdom of this move. And that turned out to be correct. That's how Indians built the brand equity. Whereas now look at these people. They come to useless colleges in America, the 4th tier, 5th tier colleges, study completely useless subjects, not engineering, not STEM, but go and study totally useless subjects like sociology and all these things. You will not get a job with all that, okay? And then many of them pay money out of their pocket. They mortgage their homes or their parents' lifetime savings, and they come and study here, and you're not getting jobs. Instead, why not work hard in India, get good education from Indian colleges, and work there, gain real experience, and then come legitimately to the US on proper visa and take up a high-paying job? Because both Elon Musk and Trump have repeatedly said that America wants talent and America wants these immigrants who are truly qualified. And there are many of them in India, and we can come here. You don't have to take the illegal route. And that's a very good point Sree Iyer made. I just wanted to add to that on top of it. Because by taking the illegal route, you are destroying the brand equity of India.
Absolutely. And viewers, you don't know how well regarded you are outside of India. If you look at Middle East, for example, the best semi-skilled and skilled workforce comes from India. They put their heads down, they work hard, they don't indulge in local politics, they don't go to the religious places there and try to create all sorts of problems. They don't do it inside Middle East. It makes a different point. They come back to Kerala and make problems, but not in Middle East. See, the point I'm trying to make is you still have a good brand value, and this can be leveraged. That's why I'm hoping that by India working with America, having a proper template for workforce transfer. We're talking about not outsourcing, but workforce transfer, to try and define projects where people will be brought in, they'll work for a few years, and then after that, they can go back to India, and then they get back into this roster where some other country might be needing your help. The point is, it's a slightly different paradigm. India has the technical workforce, the skilled workforce. This is not just skilled. This could even be semi-skilled. I mean, you need a lot of hands to build this new canal. It's not going to be so easy. Who is the Israel and US going to trust today? It's going to be Indians. They cannot give it to any Muslims. In fact, I'll tell you another thing that you probably may not know this. Saudi Arabia is sending back Pakistanis by the thousands. By the
Correct.
thousands.
And importing Indians And they are
Yes.
teaching yoga, and they are doing all those things today in Saudi Arabia.
So this template will work. What is needed is a little bit of out of the box thinking, a little bit of more dare that Modi needs to display. He's been very cautious, and he's cautious because the babudam around him always keeps saying, play safe, play safe, play safe. Here, it's not about playing safe. It is about playing right.
Correct.
This is again like what Venkatji said. 1991, Bill Gates says this will be a very wise move. It is proven right. Now, India needs to do this thing, establish a working relationship. Use that template with other countries also. Already Israel wants India. Already Taiwan wants India. But this is just a trickle.
Sir, we can go even one step further, thinking out of the box. Okay, see, a lot of Indians who are illegally entering the US start, you know, majority of them come through the mule train, through the cartels, through the southern border. But then there is also a large section of Indians who come on student visa, go to third-rate colleges, and then, are struggling to find a job or internship or anything. They cannot even find OPT jobs. But there is if we think out of the box, we can find a great solution for that. Okay. And here is a suggestion. Modi could propose to Trump that America's top universities like Caltech, like MIT, like Wharton Business School, Stanford, and all of these top schools, they set up shop in India. Okay, and they'll be governed not by Indian laws, but they would be governed by American laws. In other words, they'll be purely meritocratic setups where they can invest dollars for doing research and development. They can have undergrad program, master's program, everything. And then a lot of the Indian students can now go to the Caltech campus in New Delhi or MIT campus in Chennai, and they can study. And then if they are good and if they are in the top of the class, 10%, 20%, they can go to the MIT or Stanford campus in the US and complete a semester or two and then transition over there. And this can work out to everybody's advantage. And this is beneficial to Trump also, because Trump and Elon Musk are very keen on ending all of the DEA and all of the leftist propaganda in universities. They want to end many of these useless courses. So if Modi can strike a deal to teach STEM, finance, economics, and all of these things, AI, computing, and everything in these schools, and not liberal arts programs, and then that's something both Trump and Modi would welcome, and then use that as a mechanism to clean up the ideological indoctrination. That will be a win-win for everyone. You spend a fraction of what you'd have spent by illegally relocating to the US, by studying in these good campuses in India, and we can also get rid of reservation and introduce meritocracy. And it's only a matter of time before India gets revolutionized, then becomes the industrial hub. Most importantly, because America wants to find an alternative to China. And this kind of investment will lay the intellectual foundation for India, top class colleges, research labs, purely meritocracy driven. And this can be the start of not only a great partnership between India and the US, but also a complete revival of Indian economy and industry, which was totally destroyed by Jawaharlal Nehru and 70 years of misrule by Congress. And the last decade, Modi has revived a lot of those things. He has built massive amount of infrastructure, so he can take it to the next level. This should be Modi 2.0.
Thank you so much. And we have a few questions for you, Venkatji. And if you don't mind, maybe we can have some of these questions answered. Let's take the questions, please. Mangat Ranga wants to know, Trump is known to be transactional and US first activist. For Bharat to gain, what has to be offered and how would that impact Bharat, especially the economy? I think you asked this question before the talk. I think we have answered this question. Let's go to the next question. Ram Chandran wants to know, Vanakkam, would US open non-specialty visas like H2 to Indian citizens for agriculture, construction labor in a big way?
Not in the US, okay, because Indian construction workers do not have the skills to build the highways, the bridges, and the skyscrapers of the US. Okay, just look at how construction is done in India. Okay, you still find people carrying, bricks, everything on their head and doing that work very manually. They don't have the skill. So even take a rebar, how it is split or bent in India, they'll be taking a hammer and smashing it for 20 minutes on the side of the road. That's not how construction is done in the US. At home, I have machines to split rebar, even though I do that kind of work like, masonry work. once in a year or so in the backyard of my home. Okay, so no, America doesn't need Indian construction workers. Indian construction workers don't have the skills to come and work in the US. Agricultural workers, definitely the US needs agricultural workers. Okay, I do not know which way it will go. I think a lot of that work will be replaced by AI. Okay, I know companies, I know unicorns that are working in the space. I myself advise some of them, and I myself evaluate some of them for venture capitalists. I think the way this will shape up is a lot of this will get automated, and then the rest of the work will move up the value chain, and that means the local Americans will get a higher pay and do that kind of work. I think that's the way it will go. Probably, I don't think even for agriculture, America would need Indians to come and work. However, if Gaza reconstruction is going to happen, which will, and if the reconstruction of Israel is going to happen, which also will, Indian agricultural force and Indian construction workforce could play an important role there and get visas. That could very well happen.
Indranil Saha wants to know, is there any chance that Trump can catch Modi off guard like Netanyahu by saying, let us solve Bangladesh, US will take over St. Martin and India will ... Together we will do a great job.
I would love that. And in fact, I'm hoping that Prime Minister Modi even proposes that, because see, a lot of times we are all carried away by words like democracy. Okay. But what is democracy? Okay, you are making, as a citizen, you are making very critical decisions, right? Those decisions not only affect you today, they are going to affect you for years to come, and then probably the rest of your life and the lives of next generations. That's why when a country goes into deficit, it's not you who is paying the price. Okay, it's your children, your grandchildren who would be paying the price. That's why Trump wants to eliminate all the deficit in America, which is over $30 trillion now. So now, come back to this question. Okay, so in a lot of countries like Bangladesh or Gaza, people are unfit to practice or indulge in democracy. Why? Because they are brainwashed by Islam. And then number two, they are stupid people. And I'm being very blunt here. The average IQ of Gazans is 67, okay, which is borderline stupidity, borderline idiocy, okay? And those people cannot take critical decisions that impact economics, that impact infrastructure planning, education, and whatnot, okay? So it is imperative that just like Trump has proposed that he will take over Gaza and America will hold on to Gaza and own it for a long time, I think a similar measure is in order in the rest of the world too, particularly Bangladesh, Pakistan, Burma, and all of these places, and Maldives and all of that, where India and US should partner and take over these places. And it's very, we don't have to even do that militarily, okay? Because all of these corrupt politicians, take someone like Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi was caught in 2001, right, in the United States, carrying $160,000 cash. How do you get that kind of cash on hand? Except through drug cartels and with some other drugs. And he was let go because now the US can hold him by the scruff of the neck and make him dance to his tune. Like Rahul, every politician from all of these countries like Bangladesh and others are involved in these things. They have put their money in Swiss banks, in banks in Panama and other places, and Trump can get this information with a snap of the fingers. And he can blackmail them and say, you have two choices. One, let the US Indian administration to come in and change your place, and we'll rebuild your country and we'll get rid of all this extremism, or we'll publish this information, and a lot of this money is also linked to drug cartels. Then America can even force those leaders to be extradited. So I think it is definitely possible, and Trump may very well throw that surprise, because it's very important for Trump to make sure that America is strengthened and reinforced against any future Chinese threat, and he is looking to India for that complementary fit, and this could very well happen.
Next question, please. Vaijayanti Manivelu wants to know, why are we all so divided today, Mr. Sree? Venkat, you go first, and I'll have my 2 cents on it. First, you go ahead.
So, unfortunately, we have been colonized for a long time, right? So we are first colonized by the Muslims, but we did fight back. And, we had great kings like Shivaji, Krishnadeva-Raya, Hariharabukka, Vema Reddy, and many others, okay, who fought back and they re-established Hindu kingdom. However, we never really put up a meaningful fight against the British colonizers, against the Christian colonizers. As a result, they were able to carry out a massive psychological propaganda against our Hindu culture, against our Indian traditions. They were able to divide and rule us for more than 200 years. And just like that, uh, when you turn off the switch, the fan that has been running will take some time to come to a stop. Uh, the division is still continuing and it will take some time for Hindus to unite. But I'm also very realistic. I think it's easy to Hindu the unites against a common enemy than by just talking about, look, we are all dharmic brothers and let's unite. That won't go anywhere. But if there is a common enemy, then Hindus will definitely unite. We have seen that many times. We have seen that during the partition riots. We saw that during, the Babri Masjid. We saw that during, the Godhra massacre and the retaliation that happened right after that. We see that time and again. So I think it's easy to unite the Hindus against a common enemy. That's a sad reality.
Thank you so much. I think you said my thoughts. Basically, what is needed is we need to start treating each other as human beings first. All the other stuff doesn't matter. Treat somebody that you are interacting with as a human being. And this is the real clue, especially in India where things are so entrenched. We still are got all our hang-ups that needs to be shed. I don't know when that will happen, but at least let us start talking about it. It should start, in my opinion, in schools. Correct. Schools is because you're planning for the future. The future generation Indian needs to think, I'm an Indian, I'm a human being first. Then all the other things, don't worry about that. This Sarve Janaha Sukhyam Bhavantu has something that has to take root within your psyche from the very beginning. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not a word or a phrase. It's a small word. And today we can all thrive, but we need to do some basics right. Let's go to the next question. We have a few questions to go before we can finish up today. Venkat is back. Namaskar. Trump has disturbed a lot of systems. Chaos was probably necessary, but he has disturbed a lot of entities. Has he insulated himself from a possible backlash, and what would that be?
I think so. So the Democrats would definitely do the same things they have been doing since 2016. Okay. What are those? Number one, fake impeachment attempts in the Senate, and then fake propaganda in the media, then riots on the street by unleashing anti-social elements like Antifa, BLM, etc. And all of those things Democrats will continue to do. But this time there is a difference. A very vast majority of Americans, including Democrats, okay, like 60+%, they are totally in support of Trump. They want Trump to get rid of all the illegals from the US. They want him to clean up the institutions. They want all of these US aid and all of those agencies to be totally revamped. So they are fully backing him. And also this time, if you look at the way Trump has approached everything, in less than a week, he signed what, more than 35 or 40 executive orders. They did not manifest in a void. His team has been working on this for a year at least, and in some cases more than a year. They have thought through all of the details. I'll give one example. Exactly 12 months ago, Jared Kushner was asked a question about Gaza. And he said, Gaza, just look at it. It's a demolition site. And we have to rebuild it and turn that into a Riviera. Those were his words 12 months ago. Those are the same words that Donald Trump uttered last week, 3 days ago. So in other words, Donald Trump is not acting on an impulse. Every one of these steps and initiatives have been thought over to the finest detail over a long period of time. So I think he's very well prepared to take care of that.
Next question, please. Kamal Nunga wants to know, what do the people of Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat want to go to? Why do they want to go to US? Peer pressure is one. So go ahead.
So the first reason is, Punjab in particular, right? Because Haryana and Punjab are two different states, and we should understand that not only because as a state they are different, but also in terms of the culture. Okay, so Haryana has retained a lot of Hindu excellence. Okay, if you look at Gurgaon, what you will find is there is a massive modernization. Okay, you have banks. Okay, you have IT firms. Okay, you have electronics firms. Everyone has set up shop in Haryana. Okay, Gurgaon, places like that. and there is good law and order in Haryana. Same in UP. You go to Noida, there's excellent law and order. All these companies have set up shop. But nobody sets up shop in Punjab. The reason for that is Punjab, especially the Sikh community of Punjab, is left behind by at least 40 years. From independence until probably 1970s, 1980s, India was still an agrarian economy, and the Sikhs primarily depended on farming. And then one son will go and work in the army, another will do the farming, third will go to the government job, and all these things. That economy is over. That economy got over in the 1990s. The rest of the country woke up. Haryana woke up. Uttar Pradesh woke up. Maharashtra, South India, Gujarat, all of them, they woke up. They embraced new economy, except the Sikhs of Punjab. So they are left behind, and 40 years is a lot to catch up with. And when your children in Ahmedabad or children in Prayagraj or children in Chennai are studying computer science, and then they are talking of becoming chartered accountants, whereas these guys are just going to Gurudwara and saying Vaheguru and doing agricultural work, then they are going to experience cognitive dissonance, and they believe that the only way out for them is to go illegally to the West, and which is a sad reality. But then this is a problem that can be only solved by completely revamping Punjab. I think it can be done because Sikhs are a very innovative people, very industrious people. I think a turnaround can be made, and it should be made.
Next one, please. GK wants to know: does Indian American or are Indian Americans aware of dehumanizing campaign against Indians in X, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook? Does X should my boss GK?
No,
you are English.
No,
my God,
no,
you're killing me.
No to every one of these questions. Number one, okay, there is no dehumanization or demonization of Hindus on X. That's number one. Okay, it used to be there when it was Twitter, but after Elon Musk took over, that's not the case. But look, let's be realistic. This is a world with 8 or 9 billion people. Okay, and then if you search deep enough and long enough, you will always find some hot-headed person, hiding behind a handle, saying some trashy stuff. Okay, that's not a reflection of reality. Okay, look at America. Hindus are the richest community, richest ethnic group in the US. Hindus are the most educated ethnic group in the US. Hindus are one of the most successful groups in the US in every sense of the word. And Hindus are highly welcome. Look at the number of Hindus that Trump has nominated to key positions, whether it's 𝗏𝗏 Patel, whether it is 𝗠ci, Vivek Ramaswamy, and everyone, right? Look at all the key people, Krishnan Sriram, and all of these guys. So Hindus are absolutely welcome in this country, and Hindus are thriving well, and Hindus are doing exceptionally well, whether it's the Silicon Valley or Wall Street. No, there is no persecution. And then what Elon Musk has done with X is he has literally revived free speech, and we need more of that, not less of that.
Next one, please. Known Sniper wants to know: I may be too harsh to recommend that these illegals now be held in Andamans and made to work there doing agriculture or manual labor. This way they are segregated.
I mean, definitely a section of them deserve that, right? So those who went illegally, okay, not even getting the passport stamped, right? They slipped into Nepal and other places, went to Pakistan and all those things, and they flew out of those places. I think those people should be treated as a threat because they were involved in money laundering, they were associated with human trafficking cartels, and possibly with terror organizations. And all of them should be investigated. And I agree, they should not be released in Punjab. Then they will turn India into a hellhole in no time. So whether we hold them in Andaman, whether we hold them in Assam, or we sign a deal with El Salvador, like Trump has done, and hold them in those places and investigate them, is a legitimate thing. But we should be also more practical. Out of these 10 lakh illegals, I would assume 95% of them are just unscrupulous and greedy, and they're not terrorists, right? So they just thought they're stupid. They thought they will sneak into the US and all of a sudden, experience a life of milk and honey. That's not what happened. They are doing terrible physical labor, being exploited by their own gurdwaras, by their own Sikh community, who are landlords and other things, and then they are suffering. So all of those people, will be having resentment in their heart. The question is, do we want them to direct that resentment at the Sikh community leaders, SGPC, 𝗥𝗙𝗙𝗙 and others, Congress and AAP, who stole their money and took that 1.1 crore and sent them to the US with false promises? Or do you want them to direct their ire at Modi, who is actually helping them come back to India and reviving their life by providing all the humane support? I think the former should happen. And for that, we shouldn't confine those who are not associated with terrorism or money laundering or drugs in prisons. Instead, bring them back, but make sure, that's where communication is important, right? I think this is one area where we should learn from the Republicans. Look at the White House Press Secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Look at the way she communicates ideas. Brilliant. Okay. I think India's MEA and spokespersons should start doing that. Present this narrative. Look, you were exploited by your own Simranjit Singh Mans, your own SGPC, your own Gurdwaras, your own 𝗥𝗙𝗙𝗙, your own Congress, your own Aam Aadmi Party. Okay. And by the likes of Pannu and others in the US, they treated you worse than animals. We'll treat you as equals on par with Hindus. We'll bring you back and then use that to crack down on SGPC, 𝗥𝗙𝗙𝗙, and bring all the Gurudwaras back to sanity. And all of that need to happen. And for that, we need the support of the people. And those who are not associated with drug cartels, trafficking cartels, or terrorism should not be harassed or persecuted.
Thank you so much, Venkatji. And viewers, that brings us to a close of today's program. We'll be back in about half an hour's time on another breaking news. Do come back and join us for that. Thanks once again, Venkatji. We'll be seeing you very soon on Tamil and in English. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you.